Margaret did get points on the board. She texted me beforehand being like, make sure to mention that I scored.
Well done, Margaret.
Yeah, she's like, well, at the moment, if you're listening, we'll cut to a close-up.
Play-by-play on Sports Joe and Her. Brought to you by AIG. In support of 20 by 20.
It's been an absolutely cracking weekend of sport. I'm Jenny Murphy. This is episode 18 of Play by Play. Let me introduce you to the gang that's on the panel today. So, no Macker, she's busy prepping for something important next weekend, whatever, the weekend after. But we've got some pretty good people here in the hot seat. So, Laura Twomey, Dublin Camogie player, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
And Megan Williams, Leinster Rugby player.
Hi.
How are you? Great. So I feel like because Megan's here, we obviously have a lot of dirt in each other.
Can't wait to hear
So
that.
yeah, but like feel free again to like jump on board. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Meg, we'll start off with you because I know you a little bit better. To get a little bit of a background into you. So you've been born and raised in London, came over here to do a bit of rugby. How did that even kind of come about?
Yeah, so I was really lucky and fortunate to be given one of the first scholarships actually for women's rugby for the sevens. I was born in London. And
No way, Meg. No way. That thick Wexford accent emanating off
Everyone's
you.
saying to my Irish accent is coming through, but I don't know. So, I used to play for the Irish Exiles back in London. So I was scouted from the coach at the time and was offered to come over on a program, so I took the chance. I was really excited, and my dad's Irish and my grandparents Irish, so that's where my Irishness comes from.
Unbelievable. And you've been born and raised in Ireland as well, and
Yeah, I've no London roots, so I can't blame the accent on anything.
No.
Yeah,
No.
born and raised in Portmarnock, so spent all my life out there, out by the sea. That's where I'm known, where I'm most comfortable.
Nice. Well, Nita, producer, was very excited. She's like, I'm also from Portmarnock as well. So yeah, we've gone wildly off track right at the start of the show. Brilliant. Okay, so not only are you a rugby player, not only are you a camogie player, you've also got, because it's an amateur sports that we all play, you've got a busy work life. Meg, how do you keep yourself busy?
I have a lot of things at the moment. So I am currently an activities and fitness coordinator at a school in Dublin, and that's my main role. And then I have kind of like my side passion is working in like the health and wellness world as a personal trainer. I have a business called Move Energize Glow that I'm super passionate about and I love. That's kind of like my side hustle that I've been growing and developing the last few years.
Did you say side hustle?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a fine. Megan, right? There's like, so you have in the player group in any rugby team that I've been involved in, you've got, everyone gets different jobs. So you got your senior players, and then within that, you've got someone that's like the fines committee or, social sex. So they're involving like whatever stuff. But like Megan, how many times are you hit on the fines? Like
Every time I put anything in the WhatsApp, someone comes back.
It's
fine.
ridiculous.
Every time.
So we have like, yesterday, for example, we had like, so the girls had a game at the weekend, Leinster versus Ulster. We'll chat about that later. But like you put into the game like your recovery plan, so you get certain points for recovery, like whether it's foam rolling, dip in the sea, all that kind of stuff. So girls were posting pictures. It's just as a way to be like, it's not to keep an eye on anyone. It's like, it's kind of a more motivating thing. So people were putting up like horrendously bruised legs with foam rollers, and then this picture comes in of like mood lighting and like a fern, a fancy indoor plants, slippers that are clearly from a hotel, and then you put in like your like foam roller 20 points, sea bash like 40 points. Meg had like massage 20 points, and you're like, Meg, get away. So yeah, that is mild. So yeah, sorry, I'm going to just be like spilling the beans on everything you do, Meg. So it's great. Yeah,
I didn't think anything less. So
yeah, well, don't worry, Laura. I have actually some dirt on you as well. So we'll completely get to that.
Oh no, I don't know where you got that from.
And what about yourself? How do you kind of keep yourself busy?
So I'm actually starting a new job in a week's time in TUD, the new amalgamation of 3 ITs. So I'm lecturing there on sports sports management course. So I was teaching the last 2 years, kind of moved around. I was in Coláiste teaching, and then I was actually in a secondary school in Dublin there the last year. So that was really cool because obviously with the whole 2020 thing, all the little girls in there, it was class, like to be able to see it on a day-to-day basis, you know, get involved in sport and stuff. So yeah, I'm going to be flat out for the next couple of weeks, and yeah, I swim a lot. We've gotten into our whole family have gotten into swimming in the sea, so we've all bought wetsuits and currently trying to get a 1 or 2 triathlons done. So
gross.
I know everyone's like, what are you doing? They're like, that family. Yeah. But no, it's a bit of crack. It's a nice way to wind down, like especially we don't have access to, you know, all these kind of recovery systems.
Me neither, by the way.
It was a treat. It was my birthday last week, and I was like, it's just treating myself.
Megan, don't bring up your birthday. So another thing is that Megan would be like, oh, by the way, it's my birthday in 2 weeks' time, and constantly be like Meg, there's like 4 birthdays between you there. Just so you know that, like, during, like, yeah, she's like, I have a birthday.
People have a birthday month kind of
thing.
Yeah, I try.
Get as much mileage out of it.
But all I got out of it, all the girls, was a tunnel, and everyone just pushed me through it, like throwing us from side to side. And I was like, no, where's my birthday present?
Oh my God, Meg. Oh my gosh.
I love presents. Yeah. So told.
This is gone again. Like this is. I'm like, oh God, this interview could go anywhere. Right. Okay. So, how did you actually get into camogie? Because I know you were like a little bit of a tennis player before then, or is that a bit of a stretch?
This is probably Nigel, Noel, auntie, one of the lads definitely. We played. My whole family played tennis for a good few years. We actually won a set of rackets in Super Value. They did this like, I don't know, some survey thing, and we ended up winning 2 rackets, and myself and my sister kind of got up to the tennis courts. But we were babysat by this family around the green from us, a girl who used to play camogie with Dublin as well for years. And they basically were like, get off those tennis courts and get up to the pitches. We need to roughen you up a bit. So after a couple of years, I hated it at the start. I actually didn't like it. But after a few years of rummaging around the pitches, I suppose we kind of stuck at it. So yeah, it's been great ever since. Been playing up since I was about 8 with Nave Marnoak. So it's cool. Like my whole family are involved, and Miriam, my other sister's on Dublin team as well, which is really nice. Like, so it's a bit of a family affair. Is
it tough to play with? Does it make it easier to have your sister kind of, you know, go into those late night sessions, or I'm going to have to skip this family event, or is it easier to have basically your sister rocking up to those miserable training sessions? Oh yeah, she's always good for an El moan in the car on the way back. Last year she was over in Edinburgh for the year, so it was like, you know, I was missing my left arm, like, but obviously it makes that a little bit easier when you can't go to family events. So if you have 2 people saying you can't go instead of 1, so they believe you that a little bit more. They're like, all right, it's like there's actually a day. But it is great, like, but I think my family are a bit sick of it now because we've both done serious injuries in the last 2 years. So like, you need to move away from that. They're like, it's camogie is a body wrecker, like anything. Like, but you guys have sticks though, so like at least we're just like we've got scrum caps and a gum shield, and so it's only so much a shoulder can do, but like I think a stick can do a fair bit of damage as well. And you've got like I've got like a whole you've done so you actually started fairly, like, you jumped into the Dublin squad, it seems pretty quickly. It's the development side at 14, and then like you got your senior cap or your debut really early as well. Debut. I started playing with the development squads at 14, and at the time they were kind of like just like once a week sessions, and you know, it's obviously way more advanced now. There's, you know, the girls, like the under 14 girls are nearly doing similar gym programs in terms of their load like to us, but I started off doing that, and then I think I played my first senior game when I was 17 in 5th year in school. So it was against Cork. We definitely got hammered and I was like, what am I doing? But no, I've been at it ever since, so it's about 12 years now. So I took 1 year out and went to the States, did the J1. So it's I was glad I got that break. Like, you know, you see some of the 20-year-olds coming up onto the team now, and they're like, have you been to this country and that country? And you're like, what? No. Like, how have you done so much travelling? But no, it's been great, like the whole thing. And even like playing with DCU, I was there for, I'm like the eternal student. I was there for 8 years. I stayed on after I did my undergrad. So I got a good mileage out of college camogie there as well. So that was class, like to be able to play with, you know, obviously girls from all around the country. Like, so we're kind of enemies now on the pitch, but that was a really fun time. Yeah. No, but you make some of your best friends in college and college camogie. So that was a pretty cool experience. And I know, Meg, that before you kind of started taking rugby seriously, you were travelling quite a bit before you settled down. Like, how did you fall into rugby kind of quickly as well?
So I was the same, like quite a young age when I started playing. It was my brothers played, my dad, and like our house was literally next door to the local rugby club, and my dad was like chairman of the club. So it was like pretty much here's a ball when I came out when I was when I was little. And I was really lucky. Yeah, I joined the boys team when I was like 8 or 9, and I just loved it and played ever since, on and off. And I was travelling. Rugby took me all over the world. Really lucky to have played a year out in Canada, and I did America as well. Went over to played in South Africa. So it's given me loads of opportunities and a great chance to grow and develop my game and give me the confidence to kind of take it a little bit further. Like, I never really thought that I was good enough, or especially at a professional kind of higher level, like international. And then when I was given the chance to play for Ireland, I was like a little bit still, I suppose, kind of scared and didn't believe in myself enough. It took me a while to kind of really settle down and take it seriously, and then once I did, I absolutely loved it, and I love the culture in Ireland and the country itself as well. So
no plans on moving back just yet?
Definitely not. No. I'm here for good. Just got a house, so excited to be renovating a new house at the moment, so that's exciting.
And do you find with Move Energise Glow the S&C and stuff that you've got from rugby, is that used a lot? Does it kind of correlate?
Oh, massively. I think I've been taught so much from the coaches and the strength and conditioning coaches that we've had over the years, that I've learned so much from them and developing myself as a coach as well. Like, it's been, because I kind of was like, in the programme, you're always like, what's next? What's after rugby? What's after sport? And it's always in the back of your mind. And I never really knew what my passion was and like what I'd be good at. And I suppose I had the love for gym and health and fitness, and that kind of grew over the last like few years. I suppose that's where Move Energise Glow came from, was my love for the gym. And I picked up so many bits from the coaches I've had,
And do you do any like gym work in the schools that you're in, or is it more kind of like sports orientated kind of stuff with St. Dominic's?
So where I'm at the moment, I am running the fitness program. So my role is to try and get the girls like involved in sports and fitness as much as I can, and that means I get to take them to the gym and I get to teach them like the basics.
Brilliant. Dominic's in Cabra?
In Ballyfermot.
Oh, Ballyfermot.
Yeah, and I get to do like Zumba with them, super circuits, and then all different kinds of sports. I try and touch on everything. And then I bring guest coaches in as well to try and give them the motivation and the spark, because especially at such a young age, I'm working with girls from like 12 to 17-year-olds. And again, they're like, they just don't know what they want to do, or they've been told to like one certain sport in their area or something, and there's so much out there that they can try. So it's kind of giving them the opportunity to develop their niche, what they're kind of good at.
Or expose them to
different stuff.
That's the same as me last year in the school. It was the same age group I was working with. Yeah. They loved the Zumba, and that, like, the more that you give them, I know, like, we can't do that every day.
But I'm the worst dancer as well. Sometimes I did like YouTube
I'd be there
and
at home
I'm
trying to practice.
But I think if you do everything with a bit of enthusiasm, it's like,
and you have to be able to let them laugh at you as well. Like, if you just leave 100%. That, I think they kind of respect that a little bit more as well. But
you don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah, but you definitely have to give them, like, you know, loads of different options, I think, for sports and stuff, because I think that's why people just turn off it as well. They're like, I'm kind of being channeled or pushed into one direction, and then, you know, they haven't been exposed or, you know, haven't experienced other things like that. Like, it doesn't have to be a sport. Like,
exactly, There's so many of them that want to just try out actual fitness classes and get the confidence to go to the gym, because especially at such a young age, unfortunately, like, appearance to them is so big, and like for younger girls, and it's kind of giving them the tools and like the workshops to like build their kind of confidence outside of what they look like. It's really important to me. So
you're building a foundation, and they can kind of decide themselves as well.
Yeah, and not always do the same as what everyone's doing. like that's really big.
Well, like I guess as well when you're doing those Zumba or you're trying parkour, I found that it was nice when I was like teaching that no one, or maybe the majority, have never done it before. So everyone starts off being
same page.
Yeah, and like you're going to be rubbish at something new anyway. Like unless, and like some people pick it up and get really good at it really quickly, but that having that baseline of like, oh, everyone is equally crap.
Definitely.
That can be a bit freeing in itself.
Nice breaker.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. And then especially when you're trying new things and you see your teacher, your coach, whatever it is, not being like it's just another like, oh, I tried parkour for the first time and creased myself. Oh no, don't do it. Yeah, it's dire, and I had to pop up on a wall, be like, it's all right, kids, we're great, but like dying on the inside. So that's, we should probably move it back to sport now anyway. But like, and we'll zoom it to Camogie first. So I know you spoke a little bit after last year's All Ireland about the officiating and basically just like we need to have another look at the rules. For people that mightn't necessarily watch or listen into a lot of Camogie, main differences for you between hurling and Camogie to watch out for?
So I think there's something like 27 differences or something, but the main ones, like a lot of them are just tiny little things. Like you can't, say for a free, it has to be taken from a shorter distance than a longer distance. For a penalty in Camogie, there's three people on the line, whereas in hurling, you just have the goalie. But I suppose the main talking points over the last couple of years are the lack of, I suppose, the ambiguity around physicality in the sport, the fact that we can't shoulder an opponent, whereas in hurling you can. And currently, like, one of the rules states that it's an offence to physically move towards an opponent's body. So, that obviously just lends itself to so many different interpretations of that rule and contributes to, the inconsistency in refereeing, I suppose. That's been a talking point at the moment. So that's a big one. So the kind of, I suppose, inconsistency around physicality, and then the handpass goal is another one. So we can handpass the ball into the goal, whereas obviously in hurling you can only strike it. And I don't know, for me that's a big one, because I feel it just completely takes away from the skill of the game, because obviously if you're in that situation, well, I'm a back, so I'm never up that end.
So but it's actually fine for you.
For me,
I'm
like, it's actually very hard to defend as well. But I think it takes away from the skill of the game, and girls are well able to strike it. We've seen it in the semi-finals there, some really good goals on show. So that's another kind of one. And then I suppose we can also drop the hurley to hand pass the ball. So in hurling, you have to use one hand and keep the hurl in your hand at all times. And then there's obviously the scored and shorts debate at the moment. Don't know if I should get too into that one or not. But it is like still, a big issue amongst a lot of players.
Because even watching it, sometimes I'll be watching it and I'm like, okay, that's a foul. I'm not really sure, but it's more like, okay, I don't watch the game enough, and then I'll watch a different game and I'm like, oh, that was definitely a foul last time I saw it. So it's like, I don't like the first time I played Camogie a few years ago, just when we were in America, and they were very, very short players. And it was in San Francisco, and we had a lot of the girls in the Gaelic team were, Kilkenny, Tip, Dublin Camogie players. And so they were like, okay, Jen, we're going to put you in the full forward line and we're going to hit the ball up to you, catch the ball with the stick in your hand, and then just throw the stick away and kick the ball.
I don't know if that's real. No,
it wasn't allowed, but I think that they knew the refereeing was a little bit iffy over in America. So I would have to, they were like, don't throw it. Just be like, oh, I've actually, I remember I kicked everything, and but I was dire. There was not a job for me or role for me with Camogie after that.
But even it's funny, even you're saying watching it, you're unsure of the rules, and it's different from one game to another. Even as a player, you're not really sure what you're going to get from game to game either.
That's too frustrating.
So it's, one game you could, I think another rule states that you can't interfere with an opponent's actual hurl or their body. So, obviously the word interfere is very open to interpretation as well, and for both players and coaches and referees. So, that's very tough to deal with in different games.
like, how are you then taught to tackle or to rob possession?
Yeah, like again, like I suppose at the moment, just trying not to actually push an opponent if you're coming in from behind. Not to make sure, like a chop is when you hit down on the hurl like that. You're not. That's absolutely not allowed. But just trying to make it as I suppose hidden as you can in a way, while trying to be a little bit physical, like you know. But no, like it's moving in the right direction. In the WGPA, there's like a players group that have been set up to kind of give like Camogie and GA players a voice. They've done a big survey of I think about 300 Camogie players in Ireland at the moment. So, you know, I think like 97% of players said they wanted rules to be changed and they're not happy. So that's all going to be put forward to the Camogie Association now over the next year, and hopefully be, you know, I think they've actually changed another rule whereby it takes they've decreased the amount of time it takes to actually change or try something new. So maybe next year in the league we might see,
because the rule book is like James Joyce's Ulysses. At the moment,
it's and they actually showed us, they were like, oh, you might want to look through the rule book, you know, before you do the survey, but it's huge. Like you'd be there for, it's like a thesis, like you'd be there for a while reading it, you know. So I suppose that probably even condensed in itself would be a step in the right direction. Like, but
because they're old rules, and obviously they're there for a reason. But I think even if you're looking at like women's, like any women's sport, to be fair, when S&C comes on board, you can see the difference. Like even in the last 7-8 years, like women's rugby players have physically changed. The same with football and the same with Camogie as well. Like your body is able to handle those big hits, and if you're lifting that amount of weight or you're putting in that effort, like change the rules to suit that. Like your body is able to handle those.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, and you can see it even with the 2 semi-finals there. Like, I just thought it was so evident. Like, even with Galway, like they might not be particularly like a very big looking team, like they're really, really fast and fit, and like they actually look quite physical, you know. So I just think like all over the country the standard of Camogie in terms of S&C and fitness has improved so much, but obviously we need the rules to go with it, like but hopefully over the next kind of coming months there'll be you know, improvements, I suppose, in that direction.
Would it be an easy sport to learn if like someone knew, if you were like didn't grow up playing it?
No, Meg. I'm telling you,
Meg, it sounds really good.
Meg, I will answer this one for you.
It sounds really hard.
Meg, I went over to the Gaels Hocht or something in Galway and got handed a hurl and was just no, like as in you're like, oh, I can make it balance on the stick, and then you look around and there's like 7-year-olds flying it and loafing.
Same with everything though. That's like skiing and everything. Like like young kids, like when you pick it up young, definitely. But I think it is harder to pick up as although I'd say the same about football. Like I can't kick a ball, so you know, I don't know. But no, it is like I think probably the hand-eye coordination makes it a little bit harder for people to pick up later. But there's definitely there's plenty of social hurling around for people who want to give it a try.
So because we had it during the World Cup, we had like we'd bring slitters and like hurls with us, and there's some of the girls that are actually like they're very good in it and have played. I think some of them have played county or played like decent club level, and they'll be absolutely pinging it. But then all the other nations are like, what sport is that? And they all want to give it a crack as well. So you could see at the end like a lot of the Canadian girls that play. I think some of the Canadian girls and maybe 1 or 2 of the Aussies bought hurls back with them to Australia and stuff as well. Like so now they were as good as I was, which is saying a lot. But like it's
popular
cool.
Though. It's getting more popular over in Canada and the States. Like I remember doing my J1 over there and trying to find a Camogie team. There was like one in San Fran and one in New York. Like nothing. But I think there's 600 clubs in total all over the world, and like 560 of them are in Ireland. So you know there's 40 or so dotted around the UAE and Australia and that. But no, it probably isn't the easiest sport to pick up.
Okay.
Although it's great, kids. Everybody doing.
Nice, good save. Good save.
The basics are fine.
So you're also co-captain of the Dublin senior team
of last year.
Year. Where do you see? What do Dublin now need to do to, like, I know you were in an All-Ireland semi-final for the first time in 27 years in 20, which is huge. What's the next step? What needs to happen for for you to get back in there, or the Dubs to get back in?
Yeah, no, 2017 was massive. I suppose like when I first went up to the Dublin team, it was their second year up senior, so they'd won 2 junior All-Irelands. So it was that real transitional phase, and the first 5 years were brutal. Like we were, just trying to adapt to playing against the stalwarts of Camogie, like the Corks and Kilkenny, who just obviously were at a completely different standard than us. But it's been really revolutionised, like over the last few years with Shane O'Brien and David Herity, and that they've just brought a huge, I suppose, professionalism to the setup, like, and even this year as well with Frank Brown, he's got winning All-Ireland experience with Mayo. But I suppose our main problem over the last few years has been player retention, like one of them anyway. Like, so every year we've got a turnover of maybe like 12 or 13 players. So and there's always, obviously, success like encourages players to join, and with the football, it's very difficult. We're always competing against football as well, like not to take away from it or anything, but it's always, it's harder to get players that way. But yeah, I think like trying to get the best players in Dublin out at any one time is, obviously key to improving as well. And then just like the skill is there. It's just that like when you start winning matches, you get into that mentality of thinking that you can actually compete with the rest of them. Like there's a chasing pack of probably like Galway, Cork, and Kilkenny have kind of been dominating the last couple of years. So the last 3 years, there's been someone different in the All-Ireland semis. Between Tip this year, Waterford, and us the previous year. So it's just trying to, I suppose, increase the standards of both of training and coaching, and even tactically wise, getting players used to different setups and, that experience as well, that mix of experience and youth, like, so. Because
we're seeing in the women's football, we see Cork and Kerry, or Cork and Dublin in that, in those finals all the time. Like the last time, like a Dublin or Cork mitt was on that Brendan Martin Cup was 2004. Yeah. That's like, it's insane. Like that's the
15 years. Like it's
serious. It's just hugely consistent. And then for example, you had 2 unbelievable semi-finals at the weekend. Yeah. I guess we jump into Galway and Mayo first. I don't know if any of you guys caught the game.
Yeah, I saw a bit of the first game, it was really exciting.
Yeah, like a 1-point win. Yeah. 90 seconds left. Roisin Leonard slotted an absolute belter.
It was from pretty far out as well.
And plenty of space left over. Like I think that could have been taken back another 20 yards or so.
It was nearly a bit reminiscent of Stephen Cluxton's kick there, the pressure in the timeline and everything like that.
Yeah.
Back into
Have you ever had one of those pressure kicks?
More like a pressure block.
pressure block. Okay.
Yeah, I've had one or two of them.
It's just you get none of the glory.
It's you get in the stats afterwards, but just not
not in the highlight reel or whatever.
No, our games have been probably not as close over the last couple of years. Like I think Camogie, or even you see it in the hurling, like it's getting closer when
there's like 2 packs almost.
Yeah, basically. So some games have been really, really tight. Like, but I think that they're probably a little bit higher scoring than football at the moment, like, so there's that bit of a difference in between different teams that you're playing, but no, nothing like that what she had to do now yesterday. She's some nerves,
because there's some unbelievable goals from both matches. We had Olivia Dibley, who was really nice, and then Niamh Kelly from Mayo, just like this mazy run. I don't know how many defenders she...
Oh, it was brilliant. She popped it off then at the end, wasn't it?
No, she just rocketed. She just ran through and then rocketed. This was Mayo goal.
The second goal,
and then the Galway goal was some really lovely interplay and just like a sneaky run out the back.
Yeah, that was brilliant. I saw actually a highlight of that one earlier on. It was class.
Yeah, left
boot.
Like,
really nice.
That's the... Like when you go to Croke Park, and it was class as well, because for semi-final 10,000, hopefully the last year's record will be topped again. I was saying to the girls, I was in at the game yesterday, and I was like, oh, there must be about 25,000 here. That's honestly how loud it felt in there. Yeah. Like there was so many flags, so many kids, and the whole Lower Hogan was filled, like, so it felt like, actually when they said 10,000, I was like, what? It felt like, so much more, but it was brilliant to see. So, it's amazing to have the semis there, first time ever that they've had the football there, like, so.
definitely hope they break the 50,000 now for final.
Yeah, that'll be class. Meg, where does your allegiance lie? Where are your family originally from? Or
they actually are from Roscommon.
So no hope of great shots. Okay.
Maybe Galway.
Yeah. Okay, so listen.
That's all I know.
I'm from Kildare. I'm still like Sam Maguire 1998 final against Galway. I'm still holding a grudge for that.
They did well in hurling there last year with the Christy Ring. So you can hold on to that.
I'll take that. Right, so we've got, and well, actually, there's a bit of controversy as well. So there was a bit of so what happened in the sticking with the Mayo Galway game. It looked like Mayo were getting a free in, and then it was nearly like, now the LGFA said that it wasn't a reverse decision. The referee made the right call at the time. It was a Galway free out. Galway sent it, and then that led to the Roisin Leonard free kick, and she pinged it over. Galway win the game. Mayo manager Peter Lee, he was pretty frustrated, as you would be. After the decision, so yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what point I'm trying to make here. It was just he basically said, "Oh, VAR could have been like I didn't know VAR. I didn't know VAR was being used in the Gaelic ground." So,
and were they like? Are they aware of that, or is it being used? Or?
I don't know. Like it didn't. I was just an observer, and I thought that it from the initial way the ref reacted, I did think it was a Mayo free, but sure, what do I know?
Yeah,
I only talk about sport for my job, so great.
No, it is controversial, and like I actually didn't see that, but just saw all the reports there this morning about it. Like, but obviously, it's tough, like for both sets of players, I think, to be hearing even about that. Like after the game, like no one wants to hear.
Like Galway wants a definitive win. Like we definitely won that. There's no grey area, and Mayo also. I can imagine it's a much easier pill to swallow if it's like we lost by a point, which is crap. But it was like there was no
win,
whatever like officiating decision thing. Anyway, we better talk about Dublin Cork, and then we have to go to an ad. So or video, sorry. So like another cracking game. Scoreline, I think. Like flatters Dublin. Now they played unbelievable, but it was much closer than the game suggested. 2-11 to 11 points.
Yeah, I think they were level like 7 times in the first half anyway, weren't they?
Yeah, like 7-all at half time. Some lovely scores. And then just in the last 20 minutes, it seemed like Dublin.
I think they just really stepped it up.
I was like, the essence, like that's no one notices your strength and conditioning program for your first, and then it's always the final 20 minutes, 25 minutes in rugby as well. It's like now this is when like you pass that pass that you would never normally throw. Your brain gets that little bit fuzzier. You're not as accurate. Yeah, and like
they just seem to completely flourish in it. Like
they were like driving forward, going right at the Cork defenders, and like it was. They took their goals really well.
The first goal was I think after 14 minutes. Who got the first goal again? What was his name?
Quiva. No, she got
Murphy?
Quiva O'Connor, and then penalty.
Yeah.
Final.
Oh, that was some run from the full back. I was devastated for her. I was like, please let them allow it. Like
Meg, it was like if the full back intercepted, ran all the way to the try line, and then got tackled. And it was a penalty try or something instead.
It was incredible. You never see that happening.
Yeah, I was like, oh really? No, like what
she basically sprinted about 100 meters, I'd say, like nearly the length of the pitch. Like
yeah, I was like, fair play, your lungs should have been like popped out at this stage. It was like a minute 68 or something as well. So and Crow Park is massive, so it's definitely more than 100 meters.
Oh,
it's
so inspirational. Yeah. And then Sinead just coolly kicks in the penalty like after it. So I was like, I'll just give her the glory.
It was nice.
No, they were really fantastic. And I think like their link up play as well, like their support run was just unbelievable in the last like 10 minutes, just even from midfield. And the number 5 got a lovely score as well, I think, in the second half. Their wing back, can't can't remember her name, but she was excellent. So
there's I should probably know this. It wasn't Macra anyway. No, Macra's is not number 5. Yeah.
What did she get?
Macra did get points on the board. She texted me beforehand being like, make sure to mention that I scored.
Well done, Macra.
Yeah, she's like, well, at the moment, if you're listening, we'll cut to a close up of Macra. And like, she's gonna kill me for that.
Definitely driving them on. So we'll give it to her.
Mick Bowen's Dublin team march on. They face Galway in the All Ireland football final. Get your bums to Croker because that's going to be an absolute cracker of a game. We're going to take a little quick break. When we come back, we're going to chat a little bit about rugby because Megan's here, so why not? But first, our producer, Niamh Maher, she headed to the launch of the Boots 3-year partnership with the FAI and Ireland women's football team during the week. So she chatted with Ireland captain Katie McCabe. Have a look.
Katie McCabe, Arsenal and Republic of Ireland footballer, thank you so much for sitting down with us today. So we're here at the launch of a 3-year partnership with Boots Ireland and the Republic of Ireland women's football team. As part of the partnership, there's a massive focus on championing everyone's right to have confidence and to feel good. So I suppose the first question is, how do you think sport brings confidence to women?
I think in a number of ways. For me, I think having all your teammates around you and knowing you can go out and do the job is definitely, I get confidence in that, with your teammates and stuff. And I think when certain things aren't going right for you, whether it's in a game or a training session, you can look around and you have your teammates to fall back on, and they'll kind of get you through, get you out of the rough, if you like.
I think a great thing about this partnership as well is it is kind of going to be focusing on inspiring the next generation. So when you were younger, when you were playing sport, was it something that made you feel really good about yourself?
Yeah, definitely. I think I started with boys when I was younger. So going out and beating a boy in a race or sticking one in the back of the net, it always felt good and you always wanted more of it. And that's just in you. So now for me growing up, I always loved it and I wanted to get better every time I played and stepped on the pitch. And I think now Boots partnering up with ourselves and the rest of the home nations we're definitely kind of getting that confidence and promoting that confidence in women's football.
I think, with the summer and the World Cup and how massive and how successful it was, do you think that there's a shift now in the cultural perception of what women can do in football and in other sports?
Yeah, absolutely. I think obviously broadcasting games, obviously RTE covered, I think the majority of the World Cup over the summer. And it's getting that older generation maybe to flick on the TV and seeing a women's cup final, World Cup final 4 years ago, that wouldn't have happened. So it's getting there slowly but surely, but we're definitely progressing in the right direction.
And talking about your own game and with the Republic of Ireland in particular, the youngest captain that we've ever had, did you feel a sense of pressure when you got that? I mean, you were 21 when you were made captain, so did you feel a certain amount of pressure? Were you just like, have this?
No, I guess I've always kind of been a confident person. The girls would say that about me in a joking way. But I think being given the captaincy, I had big boots to fill. Obviously Emma Bourne had just kind of recently retired, but again, as I kind of touched on earlier on, having the girls around me, I knew I had the likes of Louise Crean, Lee Fahey, Diane Caldwell to kind of rely on and be that shoulder to lean on if I needed advice or if we needed anything in a camp. I knew I had that support network of teammates and obviously great coaching staff and staff around the camp.
I always think about, when you get that level of responsibility kind of put on you, did you instantly think about a strategy for your own captaincy? Did you instantly think about what you could do to maybe, bring it together or bring it to another level? You said there, obviously there was some big boots to fill. But what was your strategy when you were given that kind of nod straight away?
I think like being given the captaincy, I've been given it because I've been myself. I've been myself over the course of the few years I've been in the senior team. So for me it wasn't changing too much. It was more adapting and how I can do better, maybe on the pitch, off the pitch, leading by example, giving every training session 100%. And obviously when you're pulling on that green shirt, you give it everything you have. Maybe not changing too much, but adapting to certain things I could get better at. And obviously being young, I know I can get better at a lot of things. And not having the girls obviously to lean on was great for me.
I would say that's, having that kind of leadership quality that they saw in you to become captain was something that you probably might have had when you were growing up? Did you feel like you were a leader when it came to being a sports person as a young woman as well?
No, I've actually never been captain before.
What?
Yeah, I've always had great people to look up to. Obviously, when I first came into the team, I had like Emma Bourne as captain. And then obviously she was over at Arsenal when I went over as well. So looking up to those people and those role models that I've looked up to from a young age, obviously help them. It's obviously it was great for me, but obviously having those people to look up to helped a lot.
Yeah. So you guys had the opportunity to play the world champions there in Pasadena. Yeah. A loss 3-0, but you said afterwards that in the second half it was a great performance that you guys were proud of. Playing them on their victory tour, homecoming, obviously that must have been a bit tough, but what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, I've played, that would have been my third time playing America, and every time I've played them there's 40,000 people on. It's always a big party, but I think obviously this time was a little bit different. They've just come off the back of a really massive World Cup, so it was their victory tour, but by no means were we going over to just lay over and let them have their party. We wanted to kind of give them a challenge, and we did do that. Obviously 3-0 doesn't look great, but the performance then definitely going into the second half, I was proud of the girls. We put things right at half time, and obviously gave them a good game. They
got a lot of stick during the World Cup about some of their attitudes towards the amount of goals that they scored and things like this, but having played them a lot of times yourself, how do you find them as a team? Do you think that was a deserved insight, or do you think that it was just column inches for the sake of it?
Yeah, I don't know. I think obviously they've won a lot. The USA, they've won a lot, but their rootlessness is what I maybe, obviously because they scored a lot of goals, and they are just rootless, and they want to win, and maybe that's why they're champions, because they go out and don't hold anything back, I guess, and it obviously shows that, and they bring that into each game they play, and testing ourselves against the best is what we need to do. Obviously with this upcoming campaign, playing the likes of Germany and Ukraine and stuff, we need to see how we are at that level.
So European qualifier fixtures that are coming up September 3rd, Montenegro in Ireland. So does that kind of put a little bit of extra pressure on you, or how do you feel when you get to play at home?
No, I can't wait. I love coming home and playing in Tallaght Stadium. It's obviously my hometown. So whenever I get the chance to come back and play for Tallaght in front of our fans, it's always very special. To be coming, we've not actually played at home in a while, so that's why it's actually exciting, and I'm looking forward to it. But now every time you pull on that green shirt, you want to go out and do everything you can to get those 3 points or to get that win. So now it's really exciting.
And how are you and the team feeling about, well, first off, that match that's coming up, but in general, how are you guys feeling ahead of these crucial qualifiers?
Yeah, we're feeling confident. Obviously, we know what we have to do, and we'll analyse each game as it comes, and see what way we can go into that game. Obviously, Montenegro is first up, so we'll meet next Monday. Have a few days training beforehand, and get the tactics right, and hopefully we can get the 3 points against Montenegro.
And finally, Katie, we're trying to do a lot in terms of the 20 by 20 campaign, and kind of a part of that is getting audiences to come out to the games and to really kind of show their support. Playing with Arsenal, you get the opportunity to play at the Emirates, and that's a huge crowd. They get to be there. So what would you say to Irish people who maybe haven't gone to games before? What message would you give them to kind of come out and really support the women's game?
I definitely think try it. Just set yourself a target of going to at least one match and then seeing if you like it. Because I know definitely you will. We are growing our fan base, which is incredible. We've reached some record crowds over the last World Cup campaign. So just to say to the Irish public, come out and have a look at us. You will enjoy it watching us play, and we need all the support we can get going into this European campaign. We've never qualified for a major tournament before, and to get going and to get starting in the right way on September 3rd is really important to us, and to obviously have all the fans there supporting us will be very special for us.
Never qualified till now. Katie McCabe, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're back. That was Katie chatting about the European qualifiers. That's coming up. Ireland are playing Montenegro September the 3rd in Tallaght Stadium. Get your bottoms down. I said bottoms twice in this podcast already. I probably need to stop that. But it's fine. Get your tickets on Ticketmaster. So there's we're giving you a heap of stuff to go to. There's All-Ireland finals. There's soccer. There's also Leinster-Munster final at the weekend down in Cork. And Ulster-Connacht as well. So there's a heap. Loads of stuff. Anyway, Meg, we're going to chat about a little bit of rugby. Got on at the weekend. How'd you get on?
Yeah, it was brilliant. The girls got a great win against a really tough Ulster side. We were really clinical at scoring the points. It was a really, really physical match. And it was a shame for Ulster who didn't get as many opportunities as we did to score. But yeah, it was a really good fight. It was a really enjoyable match. It was really exciting. There was a great crowd there, and you could see I was actually on the bench. I got to come on in the second half, and it was really, really great excitement.
I could see it building. I was like,
you do it first.
It was my first Leinster try.
That's your first
Leinster try.
Nice.
It was a real little pop from Grace Miller in the corner.
Don't play it down.
Don't understand.
It was good.
Grace
I actually felt like
you.
I ran a lot more, and then I watched it back, and I was like, it was about
so
5 years.
You're like, well.
Yeah, but then that's always the case.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I got absolutely nailed in that time. And you look back and you're like, it was mild.
In my mind, I was like, I ran past this person, I handed up that person, scored in the corner. It was great.
Yeah, I'm like, oh man, I cut a great line, and I think I was like a gazelle for 60 meters, and instead was like I trundled through and then got tackled straight away. I'm like, oh,
I feel like video analysis should just be sped up sometimes.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm so way better in my head.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Class.
So it was good fun. I really enjoyed it. It was great to. There was a great mix of players from last weekend to this weekend, and it's great that we all getting a chance to put a hand up for selection, especially going forward for probably the hardest game yet against Munster. This season we're really lucky that we get 5 games instead of just the 3, so we can kind of build more and grow within the squad for the last final game. So that's exciting. So yeah, a great start yesterday for the second match.
Yeah, so Leinster are now undefeated 2 from 2, and Munster the same. So it's kind of now. So we definitely, it works out like there's then semi-finals. Okay. So we I don't know the way it works. We definitely won't face Munster in the semi-finals.
Separate ones then.
So I don't know if I'm not too sure if what could happen scoreline wise with the Munster Leinster game, but I think we would face either Connacht and Ulster, and then hopefully from there. But we can't count our chickens yet. So first up Munster game, that's going to be tough down in Cork.
Yeah,
fingers crossed.
How long is the season then? When does it all wrap up then?
So it's
end of September.
Yeah,
21st is the final.
But then you go into club. So so we've had about 3 months of training, about 3 months of pre-season kind of stuff with Leinster. Then it's club are just finishing, are kind of building into pre-season. It goes into AIL, so All Ireland League, and then your internationals are November. After you train Christmas until middle of March, and then it depends on if you're doing sevens as well. That can continue around. So your break is. Well, it's annoying. Your break is summertime, but really that's when you're like, give us summer tests. Like you need to be playing loads. Like, because at the moment there's
a lot of stop-starts, big breaks in between games almost, isn't there? Sometimes.
And then you've got like the top 5 teams in the world are playing against each other, and we're like, we need to be doing that because it's kind of the gap is widening.
You need games as well.
That's like you can do loads of fitness, you can do loads of training, but you need to be a live contact.
We've actually changed our club championships at the moment now. So we used to have 2 groups with Camogie, but now they've just made it like a kind of a version of the league. So we've if there's 7 teams in one division, you all just play each other. So it's brilliant. Now we've 6 or 7 games in a row every week. But you can't. That's just what you want.
Match fitness. It's just because I remember I was coming back from an injury. And you're doing like loads of fitness, and you're on your best.
I'm so strong.
Oh my god, you're best friends with the watt bike, which is the worst relationship I've ever had in my life.
It's tough.
Yeah. and then I had my first 25 minutes of contact that training match, and you're just like, holy god.
It's just a different level, isn't it? It's mad.
But hopefully, so I have to pass the fitness test today and see how it goes, and fingers crossed I'll be
Easy, Jenny. Easy, you're flying it.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
So before we kind of end up on this, well, I guess we'd like talk about actually a little bit like how do you find being a bench player? Like, have you been a substitute?
Yeah, I suppose when I came up to Dublin originally, we were kind of very low on players, so I ended up getting my game like as a young player. But then I suppose as the game developed and as numbers came in Dublin, everyone probably experiences that patch on the bench as well. Like so it can be tough, like especially when you're not you find it hard to break into the starting 15. But like at the moment we've so much competition for a spot, so it's it's great. Like you want it to be that way. I suppose when I came back from injury, that would have been my longest period on the bench, trying to break back into the squad. I did my cruciate 2 years ago, so it's hard. Like when you've been on the team for such a long time, and yourself like trying to get back in. But I suppose you just look at other people who've come back, like and.
I think every third or fourth person we have on the show is like, I'm cruciate buddies. We're like, it's great.
It's rotten.
I
literally had a phone call with a girl in my club today who told me she'd done hers. I was like, oh God, not again.
It's you do like when you cry, and you might never meet someone before. Like I remember my friend introduced someone like, oh, I play club with her. She's just on her ACL, and there's an internal like gut wrenching like, no,
I know.
No, it's
I used to work at the Sanctuary Sports Clinic, and I was the Ray Moran secretary, and he's the knee specialist there. So like we would see about 30, 40 patients a day. Like
they do something like 1,000
oh my God.
Or something
and it was heartbreaking. Every day I would just be like, if someone else younger would come in, you'd be like, I'm so sorry. Like, and you have to be booking their surgery, and it's like, it's so tough.
But then, like, it does as well. Like, I was chatting to a girl that is just coming back from an injury really young. Like, and you are able to recover that bit better when you're younger, or if you're in decent nick when you've done the injury. And even if you're not, you do get something from it. Like, any injury that I've had, I would obviously have preferred not to get it, but I've still gotten something from it as well.
Improve on something.
Like, and sometimes it mightn't be like, my biceps mightn't be bigger, but like mentally you might be that little bit fitter, or a bit more, there's a bit more mental fortitude about you, or you've picked up something. So
I know, definitely, like it really teaches your resilience, and I suppose just even that mental toughness, like it just, I suppose you can't change it, like, so you kind of just have to go about and try.
The situation is shit. I will make the best of it.
I remember hating the inside of the four walls of the gym, like, but I was like never came back as strong afterwards. Now, not on the pitch. I died on the pitch when I got back, but like you do, I suppose, improve in different areas as well. Like
And then as well, I think for me anyway, I'm definitely a lot more grateful. If that makes sense. Like, so before, when I was on the bench, like I started when I first played with Ireland, I was on the bench, and like I think I'm definitely a bit better at being like, no, I have a different role as a bench player than you do as in like you eat a little bit differently, how you kind of prep, well, how I prep for a game is very, very different. My like whole build up to a match is different. And then something could happen and you're actually like, oh, I have 60 minutes to play instead of, finishing strong for the 20. But it's
to be very adaptable, I think, like as well, even in your mindset, in terms of whether, like, as you said, you could be on for the whole game, or you could be on for only that 10 influential minutes, like, but either way you have to be ready. So
like poor Nicole Owens, she was like, I was good for she's only on for 4 minutes.
It was heartbreaking watching it.
So and I'd say the amount of work that she had to do to put herself in the position to be there is like
today. I think she had done like something like 32 individual sessions between the time she had injured it to try and get herself right. But that's tough. Like, it's
tough, but then like I think if you're the injured player, sometimes you don't realise that your teammates see the effort you're doing.
Yeah.
And that again is like, that's another incentive to get to that ball quicker or to, make that run that mightn't lead to anything. So it's all these little immeasurables that are huge. So hopefully. Yeah,
because people often are always kind of like, oh, will I stay around the team if I'm injured, or, do you kind of take that break? But I think like they drive you on, but also at the same time, like, you definitely push, the team in a certain aspect as well. Like, so it kind of works both ways.
How do you prep a little bit differently from bench to like starting jersey?
Yeah, definitely. I suppose when I was on the bench, it was my first game back last weekend, and I hadn't played for a while since I was injured from the Six Nations. So I actually hadn't played in a good few months. So I was very, very nervous last week. And then I was less nervous this week because less pressure when you're on the bench, because sometimes you don't know, you might not get on, or you just don't know how the game like rolls out. So I just knew that like when I got a chance to come on, just do what I could to kind of be a bit of a spark plug towards the end when people are tired, or just make a difference some way in something that I'm good at doing to give to the team a little bit of a push. So I definitely would prep differently because would be less nervous, I suppose. Whereas like when I'm like nervous, I'd be always like kind of listening to music, but then if I'm not, I'd be chatting away and more involved within the team. It's weird.
I think because you get to kind of like, I was at the game watching as well, and you definitely, like, I'm definitely more patient than I was, but I'm still like, I want to play. And then when you're watching and you feel like physically, like I could get back up there, and you, when you're completely injured, you're like, you're just watching a game. But when you feel like you can add value to it, then you're like very much analysing. And then there is some, like, you get to watch the game and be like, you can see stuff. So, their fullback is actually whatever. You can see all these little things. You're like, that you mightn't necessarily see in the heat of the game. So
it can definitely give you a bit of an edge, I suppose, coming into it.
And then you get absolutely floored the first
and then you're like, what was I supposed to pick up on there?
Oh, joys.
Would you prep differently, like even in terms of like nutrition and stuff, if you're, big time?
Yeah. And then even sometimes, again, like, so I'd have obviously a lot more carbs when I would have it. And then right before the game as well, if I know I'm starting, I'd like the caffeine gums would be hit at a certain time, and I know what I like and what I don't like. Like, we had an unbelievable kit man, Andy Weir, and he's now with the Scottish women's rugby team, and he's with our old head coach as well, and he was unbelievable. So he used to
know everyone's little nuances.
Yeah, all these little things that just he went the extra mile all the time. Like,
those people are hard to come by.
Oh, he's unbelievable. He was such an asset. He had he knew, like, and you wouldn't say like, oh, Andy, I prefer the lime to the orange. But what he used to do was he'd have two, and he'd know that at half time only one would be drunk, and then you'd have like suddenly two lime Lucasades. And then other things he used to do was so we used to have our home games in Ashburn up in Meath, like one of the nicest pitches.
One or two of them. It's gorgeous.
Such a nice pitch, and we didn't realise, but we'd go in and it would be like, everyone would be like where you normally sit, and it's all done numerically, and like some girls have more room than others because like Ali Miller takes up so much space all the time.
I was going to say the way the changing room falls.
No, it's not. It's definitely not that. And then, and we'd come in and we didn't realise, but when we went to the World Cup and away games, Andy would use the same air freshener and the same room fragrance in Ashburn, so it would be as close to home as possible. Nice. Yeah, and he made
bringing the home from home to a new level.
He's just so, he's just like such
That's amazing.
Like all these little details that you're like, that make.
So you probably don't even think about it until he's gone as well. Like, you're like, wow.
Like, we definitely did appreciate Andy's head around. We'd like, he was a good egg. So I'm very jealous that Scotland have him now. But he's good.
Must get on that one now to fragrances when for away games.
Like links, Africa, everywhere.
It's actually like routine and like what you do like before. It's just so important actually, and even you didn't realise like smells as well. That's such a good point.
Anyway, we've talked about fragrance. We've talked about like a little bit about camogie football. Anything else on the horizon for you guys that you want to mention before we wrap up?
No, just to, I suppose, try and encourage people to get out to that camogie final. Try break the record. 20 by 20,
Okay, well, it's 20 by 20 ambassador. Yeah, that's great.
I'd get in trouble now if I didn't say anything.
You sold camogie before as well, so and we have to keep an eye out for you as well next week down in Cork, Independence Park, for the Leinster Munster game.
So excited.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Guys, thanks very much for listening and for tuning in, and that's all we have time for this week. I'm Jenny Murphy. This is Play by Play.